In this video, I'm going to share with you a snippet of code which enables you to be able to have sticky group headers. So on this view, this is a search component. I have different centers. So there's 4 different types of location, and you'll possibly be familiar that you can group them by these different locations. So these records here are grouped by a center, but normally when you scroll the table down, the headings would disappear. But in this case, if I scroll down, and you can see the next center comes into view, when it gets to the top, it magically flips over. So if I scroll a bit further, you can see that I always have the relevant center with the data underneath. Now you also may notice that I have a very shallow table here. It doesn't occupy a great deal of height. And I did a video quite some time ago on how to have sticky headers. So when you scroll in your table, you can see on the right hand side here, we have a scroll bar. But I now do this inside KTL. It's a lot easier. So if you're interested in this, then stay tuned. Give me a thumbs up and a like and subscribe to the channel, and let's dive in. First of all, a massive thanks to my friend and fellow Knack expert, Craig Winnall, for providing the code on the sticky grouped headers. And with regard to the standard sticky table headers, this is now, and has been for a while, a keyword inside KTL. So if you're not familiar with KTL, there's been a number of videos on my channel about that, so you can dive into those. The parameter is really easy. The short code or the keyword is just underscore STH for sticky table header. And if you don't put any other parameters, it will default to, as it says here, a minimum of 10 records visible, and a height would be 800 pixels. Now this 800 pixels is the height of this table. So this is the height it's defined in. If you wanted to, in this example here, this example will stick the header if the grid has more than 3 records at a height of 300. So obviously that's not many records. If you don't put any parameters in, so if you just put underscore STH, it will only stick them when the number of records is greater than 10. And this is really to avoid the rows stretching to fill the height of the view. So you can play around with this. Typically, I tend to go for sticky headers with perhaps 10 or 20 records, and then a height which you can define 700, 800, 900 pixels is a good height. If I show you in the builder, this is the search view, and you can see the short code or the keyword here. So if you click onto it, you may be familiar if you've started getting into KTL that you put the keyword in the description. So this keyword is saying underscore sticky table header equals minimum of 10 records, and I want the viewport to be 400. Obviously, that is particularly shallow. So sticking the groups is still a piece of CSS, and I'll just bring this on here. So sticking a grouping on a table, if you wanted to apply it so that any table that you had a grouped field, you can use this code here, and I'll link to this file, this text document. So if you use this CSS, you can simply copy it, paste it in, doesn't have any parameters. That would stick any grouped tables, whether they were search views or standard grids. If you wanted to just do it on specific views, then you just need to adapt the code very slightly, and you need to define your view here. And then I've given an example underneath. This one is if you were doing 3 different views. So the first 2 lines are view 544, and then the next 2 lines are identical, but they're view 123, and you can just rinse and repeat that. So there'll be a link to that. Just to explain for those that aren't aware, this is a grouped column. So if I was to click on this, I could ungroup this. And if I save it and go back to my view, it will look more familiar to users using standard tables. So you can now see here, I have my column that shows me which center I'm in. So I could filter here and just say, show me all the Vista Allegra. Often we'll use a grouping. So you click on the table, go to settings, click on the center rather, and then say group records based on this field value, and it will now group them. If I save that once again and do a refresh, I'll now have the records grouped. So as I scroll up the list, you can see these reappear, and then as I scroll down, it gives a real nice visual, so you always know which section you're on. So all you need to do is jump over into your code and API section, go over to the CSS section, and then paste in whichever block of code you wish. Here, view 366. So that's the only view it's affecting. So you could obviously have multiple views, or just use the other piece of code, which would affect every table and every search view that has groupings on. Okay, hope you found that useful. Give it a go. Thanks to Craig once again, and subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next one.